Hey everybody, I think I like that part of the body room temperature at best. Welcome to Respawn Aimfire, the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast.
At best, as if there's a different, more desirable temperature.
You said hot, I think room temperature is fine. Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast from Alpha Media. Someone your host, Adam. He likes the body part, room temperature, Gumbert. And today we have with us Chad. He likes it hot, Michael Ennis.
Ooh, spicy. So you didn't know what kind of hot I meant. Maybe you put some pepper in there.
That's and also Alex, he likes it cold. Cozina.
Hell yeah, I love it cold. I love a cold, refreshing Arizona iced tea straight from the fridge.
I love how, like, what was it, last week? Or was it the barf episode? It was one of the where we start out the episode and Alex is like the Goldilocks mouth. And now we're talking about another mysterious body part that the audience will never know about.
There's all these in jokes. It's crazy. Catch us live on Twitch.tv. Well, go ahead, Alex. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, what could it be? It's a mystery.
Vagina. Twitch.tv/AfterLady. Sunday evenings at 8:30 Eastern. YouTube podcast services Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Today we're going to talk about all the showcases that people have been showing games. We're going to talk about all of them. Not Ubisoft and Capcom because they did it later than we record.
Yep.
But all the other ones. We're here for it. So I guess we're here, guys. Yep. I think we're starting with Summer Game Fest because that was the one that happened first. That was the big one. So what I decided to do for this whole today's show, I was like, I don't want to just like read down a list of everything that was announced because like that's cool, but if you want to know that information, you can find it. So I put out to the other host, I was like, hey, what was interesting to you? And we'll talk about the things that are actually interesting and we care about instead of just talking about a list that no one gives a shit about. So I thought that was the best way to do it. So again, things that we found interesting at each of the big showcases. We've got Summer Game Fest, we've got Xbox, and then we have another category for the other shows, you know, aka Devolver, Wholesome, yada, yada, yada. So we're starting with Summer Game Fest. And I guess Chad goes first because Chad just had the biggest list. I said, bring some games. And he's like, how about all of them?
I just got everything. No, I was actually surprised going down the list because watching Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley, I was like, you know what? I wasn't super jazzed by a lot of this stuff. But then, like, going back and looking at the recap of the breakdown of every single thing, I was like, you know what? I think there was a lot in here to like.
Let me
ask
Alex. You a question real quick, Chad. Are these all games / experiences that you actually want to play / experience? Or are these all things that you want to talk about that you think are worthy of commendation, but you don't think you're actually going to bother with?
I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would say 8 out of the 9 of these are things that I'm interested in actually playing.
Wow.
And or consuming, because they're not all games.
Wow.
One of them,
disrespect for Spider-Man 2.
Here's the kicker. A-Masked Keaton in the chat. What's up, first-time chatter? It's not Sea of Thieves or Monkey Island crossover. Oh! Not because that was in the Xbox conference, just because I have no interest. But let's start with 2 things Final Fantasy VII related. We finally got our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like, actual look at the game. And it's coming next year, so early 2024. So I definitely lose out on that on the Fantasy League thing because I think
you're doing very bad in that Fantasy League.
Yeah, very bad. But I was really, really excited to see that it looked more open world than they have not mentioned that it's open world, but it looked like these environments were vast and that you could kind of explore them a lot more than you could in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was very much like narrow corridors, rooms, and things like that. So that looks exciting. There's not much to say other than like we saw a bunch of cool shit. We saw a bunch of cool Sephiroth cinematics. It just looks so good. And on that same thing, we learned a little bit more about Ever Crisis, which is when they announced this a couple years ago, they announced this as like the mobile version of everything Final Fantasy VII. Like you're going to be able to play. It's the same kind of like chibi art style for most of it. It looks like as like Final Fantasy VII was, like an updated version of it, like the original Final Fantasy VII. But you're going to be able to experience all of the story of everything Final Fantasy VII related in this new reimagined kind of way on mobile. But we saw a little bit more about that. We're going to learn that there's going to be new story content focusing on like the origin of Soldier and figuring out how Sephiroth came to be, which is going to be kind of cool. And fucking Android gets a beta on July 6th. No mention of iOS getting a beta or any kind of release date. But yeah, that looks really cool. And it's sparking me to start. I think I've decided after we finish Axiom Verge, I am going to start Final Fantasy VII Remaster, like the old PS1 one with the trophies, so that I can play that and Final Fantasy Crisis Core Remastered before Rebirth and this Ever Crisis come out. Just because it's been so long. Like literally, the last time I played that game, it was on my PS1 with the LCD screen that flips up, and it was a disc. And like some of the dungeons didn't work because the second disc had a scratch on it. But I'm pumped. I'm very pumped.
I don't see myself delving into Ever Crisis, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for sure. And I think I might even join you in playing through the remastered version of the original Final Fantasy VII, because it seems like things are diverging quite considerably from the original Final Fantasy VII narrative at this point. Initially, I was hesitant to play the original PlayStation 1 version because I was like, I don't want to spoil myself to what's next. So much of what I experienced in Midgar for the first time with Remake was like genuinely fresh for me. But if we're getting a pretty substantially different experience with Rebirth, I figure I might as well do that as well. But yeah, Ever Crisis, it's a pretty hard sell for me on that one. I don't think I'm going to touch it.
Yeah, it'll honestly be one of those things that, like, unless it is incredibly well optimized for mobile and I actually want to play it, and like something like Marvel Snap or like, obviously it's not a card game, but something that is like made from the ground up to be on mobile and not just like a port of a regular Final Fantasy experience, then I probably will play it. Something that here's a question that I have. Sonic Superstars. This is the one that I most likely am not going to play. But Sonic Superstars got announced, and it's like old school classic Sonic design with updated graphics and things like that. And 4 players, you can finally play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy all in the same thing at the same time. I've played so many Sonic 2D platforming games in my life. It is almost exclusively what I owned on the Sega Game Gear. And I don't know how to play them because I see these trailers for them and I see people playing them. They look like so much fun and they're just like jumping from thing to thing and doing cool spins, blah, blah. And my experience playing all of these games is always, I have no idea what's coming next. And I run into spikes or enemies and things are terrible and I walk really slow and I never get to do the cool stunts and stuff. Are you supposed to play Sonic multiple times? Like, is that the way people play this game? Is that you sit there, you play it once, you learn the maps, and then you like see how many cool things you can do on that map and how fast you can beat it? Like, do you replay it like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I will say,
it just seems like they're playing it so much more with so much more finesse, and like they can see what's coming and they know the map so much better than I ever would, and it looks more fun when they play it. But I don't ever get that enjoyment out of it.
I will say more of a 3D.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I haven't played a ton of Sonic. I've played enough of them. I preferred the 3D ones and then Mania, but I don't know how you're supposed to play 2D Sonic, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I will say,
for 3 hours and put them down.
This game is one of the games that people have been able to go hands-on with over the course of the past few days, and preview impressions are actually very positive for this game. Across the board, I was seeing so many people be like, hey, this game really works. It's a lot of fun. So, I mean, it has that going for it at least, so yeah.
Yeah, speaking of things it has going for it, did you see the studio who's making it?
I heard
studio
some
who did
news
Balan
about it.
Wonderlands.
Yeah.
But the co-founder of that studio is one of the co-creators of Sonic the Hedgehog, so
who's now in jail.
He's in jail?
One of
Yeah,
those
he
Sonic
was
guys is in jail. Yeah,
he was arrested
for touching hedgehogs.
I mean, it may have been that in addition to the insider trading stuff that he was accused of, he was arrested twice, which is maybe news that you've heard of over the past year. And now they officially announced, yeah, you're off to the big house.
Dope. We don't need to talk about Spider-Man 2, but it got a release date October 20th. Dope, coming pretty soon. Also, we saw that we're fighting Venom. They said it's not Eddie Brock. And I thought maybe they'll go away that like Peter Parker just becomes so overcome by it that he becomes Venom, and you have to fight him as Miles Morales. And then they showed a screenshot with both Spider-Man and Venom in the middle. I was like, oh, okay, there goes that theory.
I feel like that could be intentionally misleading, though. Like if the folks over at Naughty Dog could like spoof entire trailers to make you think that Joel is like in most of The Last of Us Part 2, spoiler alert, certainly they can do the same thing here.
I completely forgot about that.
It's just not going to be Eddie Brock. It's either going to be Harry or Craven.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be, which is still cool. That's different. Or Venom doesn't have somebody inside of it. It's just Venom.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or it's
Venom.
Eddie.
Or it's Michael Rochester over at the pot shop.
Or it's actually Tom Hardy, not the actor. There's a man named Tom Hardy that's inside of that Venom suit, and he's very goofy.
Hardee, and he's the founder of that burger chain. And it's this multifaceted operation where he's trying to take over Tom Hardy, not just so that he can become Venom, but also so that he can take over the burger chain corporation.
It's not called Venom in this game. It's called Carl's Jr. And that's why Hardy's and Carl's Jr. are the same thing. They're just the different personalities, the symbiote
that's
versus
only on
Tom
the West Coast.
Hardy.
That's only on the West Coast where they call him that. Yeah.
It does the thing where you see like the word Venom in 2D and then it flips to 3D and you realize that it actually spells out Carl's Jr. in like 3D letters, but when you flip it back to 2D, it spells Venom, and it's like, oh my god, it was in front of us all along.
You can shoot Pokemon in Pal World. How about this game? What? I
Here's
am
the thing about this
unironically
game.
saying that I think this might be what I actually have wanted from Pokemon for the last 10 years.
What's shocking to me about this game is like I've known about this game for a while. It's surprising to me that this game is getting shown off at like Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest. I always thought of this game as like the weird game that gets circulated on Twitter every now and then because someone discovers it uploaded to like some obscure YouTube channel you've never heard of. But like the fact that Jeff Keighley was like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm putting this like up front side by side with your Final Fantasy VII Rebirths, your Twisted Metals, your Lies of P is like pretty surprising to me.
Yeah. Especially here's why it's so surprising to me, because it is such a blatant ripoff. Like all of the monsters shown were so incredibly inspired by Pokemon designs. The Pokeball is a ripoff. Like everything's there except for they also have like Gatling guns and stuff like that. But it looks like the 3D exploration Pokemon type game that I really, really want Pokemon and excuse me, I just burped up a little bit, and it is. Woo, there's some stuff in there. Game Freak to make, but Pal World's actually making it. So yeah, it's like it's like if the ripoff like parody version got the spotlight when the original should have. But yeah, it's weird. The only bad thing about this game is that I think I looked it up and it's PC and Xbox exclusive. So 0 out of 10.
If
Now I
only
think
you had
about
one
it.
of those.
Now that I think about it, I feel like Jeff Keighley does have a weird legacy of showing off weird knockoff Pokemon games on these showcases. Because a couple of years ago, he also showed off that other game that was like a Korean, like Pokemon-inspired MMO game, where it was like a bunch of people like dancing around and stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and it was super colorful and
everybody.
No,
Dokkaevi, that's
yep.
it. That's
Is it
it.
Dokkaevi?
Yep.
Yeah.
Chad, I'm gonna commandeer your list since Alex said the fated words. You got to talk about this bullshit.
All right. Before I talk about it, what are y'all's thoughts on this Twisted Metal trailer that we got with Anthony Mackie and
I'm glad
Joe
it's all in
Bluth?
one day, so we can ignore it after the day that it drops. Holy shit, it looks bad.
Looks good for a laugh. Don't have much else to say, to be honest.
It's like that trailer to the point where like I don't even want to spend the $5.99 for a month of Peacock to subscribe to watch it all in one day. Like that's $6 is too much for that show for me. Like I even get Peacock, the ad-supported version, through Comcast because I have Comcast. Like it's included, and I still don't want to watch it. I probably freaking will.
Weird.
Though.
And again, cast is crazy. Like the fact that Anthony Mackie, the voice of Will Arnett, and the body of Samoa Joe are sharing a scene is pretty wild. But it's like I still haven't seen any car stuff. It's
Right.
gonna be awful, but I want to watch it. I hope it only takes like 3 hours to watch because I want to watch how bad it is. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Gross. A couple other quick things. There was a trailer that started with frickin' bionic robot Ryu from Street Fighter, and I was like, "What the hell game is this? What is Street Fighter 6?" And then there were dinosaurs. I was like, "Why am I seeing this about Street Fighter 6 for the first time right now?" And then it was an Exoprimal Street Fighter crossover, and this is the only Street Fighter game that I've ever wanted to play was this Exoprimal cross. Like, how freaking cool is it that you're playing as these Street Fighter people that are like freaking cyborgs fighting dinosaurs? That's the coolest shit that you could if you tell a 3-year-old that, they will hit puberty early and jizz for the first time.
I gotta play this game.
I
right
have to
now.
play this. They'll be like, "Oh my god, this sounds so cool!" Like it looks so good to me. I'm never going to buy
Capcom.
either of those games, but man,
Yeah.
I want to play both of those together.
Capcom has a really fun tradition of mixing. Because I remember, like, Monster Hunters are also like, there's Mega Man, and there's the Jill Valentine, and Ryu is all in Monster Hunter. I'm like, why? But they have fun with it. Exoprimal. I still don't think it looks that interesting, but it's free for me. So am I going to play this maybe mediocre dinosaur game?
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I can be Ryu and
Can
kill
you?
dinosaurs.
So I'm assuming when you say free, I mean that's Game Pass, right?
I know it's on Game Pass. I feel like it might be on other services, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
But I know for sure it's definitely on Game
I wonder
Pass.
if the crossover is part of the free, or whether that's you have to buy DLC for that.
I'm not doing that.
I'm going to mention the last one on my list here first. Under the Waves. First of all, this looks like atmospheric. You're kind of there talking to yourself. It's story based. It is a Quantic Dream game. Well, Parallel Studio, which is like, I guess, a subsidiary or like offshoot of Quantic Dream. So it comes with its own baggage, but it's coming out August 29th, and it looks right up my alley. I am a big fan of those types of games. They're like walking simulator-esque, like you're doing shit, but you're just like exploring, narrative driven, like all this kind of atmospheric, cool music. So I'm into that game. I'm into it a lot.
Could be cool. Under the Sea.
And finally, the last one on my list here from Summer Game Fest. I saw you've been playing this, Adam. Lies of P.
Yeah.
I played that demo. Who would have fucking thought that we would get such a badass Pinocchio game in 2023? Like, I had so much fun with this demo. I got all the way to the first boss. I know you can play 3 bosses in the demo, but I got to the first boss and was like, it is exactly Bloodborne. It is a Souls game. It is Bloodborne with creepy fucking puppets. And the whole world, like the puppet factory has like gotten out of control and puppets have taken over the town and all that. And it is this like 40s or 50s London era, looks like Bloodborne, and you're just fucking cool puppets killing and it's so cool. I'm very stoked for this game now. September 19th.
Based on what the two of you played in the demo of this game, like how much in the forefront is the story in this game, if at all? Because watching that trailer, the one thing that stood out to me is lots of like main cast characters on display that seem like they'll play like a pretty significant part in the proceedings. Plus, you have the Cricket, not Jiminy Cricket, because that's owned by Disney, who's, saying all sorts of cool little wisecracks and witticisms and seemingly playing a much bigger part in the story than you would typically have in any of these Soulsborne or Soulsborne-inspired games. Was it a little bit more story-centric than those games, or does it actually hew very closely to From Software's design?
So, I mean, there's this narration going from this like butterfly fairy thing at the beginning, whose name I forget. And then you do stumble across, I think they call it Gemini Cricket or Gemini or something like that.
Yeah, it's very
Gemini.
close, but it's not Jiminy.
Exactly, yeah. But so the whole time you're getting this voiceover narration from the butterfly fairy thing as you go. But the story is there if you are looking for it. Like you get a little bit of the story from the narration, but also as you like as you're approaching the first boss battle, there's like a sign you can interact with off to the left that's like, introducing this first puppet, and it's enormous, and it can carry 6 men on its shoulders, and we're here at the circus, blah, blah. And it's like, so it introduces you to like, this is why this puppet exists and why it looks like this. And then you get in there and it's gone rogue, and there's this, you're fucking fighting it and has this basket on its back. And it's just, so like, yeah, the story is there in a way that like you don't have to dig into item descriptions to find it. You can come across things naturally in the world that kind of build on it a little bit. So yeah, very intrigued by that game. September 19th, y'all.
Ooh, so good. Very good. I would definitely suggest everyone play the demo of Bloodborne Pinocchio. Sounds good to you.
Yeah.
Because it's very good. It's excellent. So, all right. I guess we can move on to somebody else. I guess we'll move on to Cozy because your name is at the top.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of the games that Chad chatted about, that was very hard to say, by the way. A lot of the games that Chad chatted about were games that obviously I had varying degrees of interest with as well. 2 games he did not talk about are, first off, the first game that was shown off at this showcase, and one that kicked it off, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is a game that is coming from the same... hold on.
You're burping up
You
stuff
ever get
too,
one of
right?
those? You ever get one of those phantom burps where you think you're about to burp and then nothing comes up?
Yeah, and then you shit yourself
Instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, coming from the same team that previously worked on the Rayman games over at ye old Ubisoft. And let me tell you, this game looked pretty fun. Love the soundtrack. Love the fact that apparently it's somewhat Metroidvania inspired. Prince of Persia is not a franchise that I have a ton of experience with, but I definitely have my eyes on this game. I don't know if it did anything for either of you.
I'll be honest,
Oh,
I
man,
started the conference like 3 minutes late. I guess I missed this entire reveal.
You missed it. It's literally the first thing. Yeah, no, I think it looks awesome as hell, dude. Like, Prince of Persia, Metroidvania, 2D, like going back to the classic style, I was all about it. I was shocked to see that it was getting so much hate on YouTube and stuff, like a lot of dislikes. I'm like, really? I think it looks 100 times better than the remake that they're going to make in 10 years.
Right.
I think it looks dope. I'm in for it. So,
and I also wanted to tip my hat to Alan Wake 2. Now, the original Alan Wake, not a game that I played, but as I've talked about on this podcast in the past, played and had a ton of fun with Control. Platinumed the PlayStation 4 version of the game earlier this year, and so I'm definitely excited to return to that sort of wider expanded universe, even if the amount of connections to Control in it are relatively tenuous. What I've been reading up online is like, the game obviously has like a lot of like actiony elements to it, but apparently a lot of it will involve like solving mysteries, assembling clues, doing kind of more cerebral, on the grounds investigative work. And I am definitely all for that over just sort of pure gameplay, which is, I feel like, the vibe that I more got from the trailer. And so, yeah, looking forward to that.
oh yeah, it's my favorite game from Summer Game Fest. Without a doubt. Holy shit. Been reading, or not reading, I don't read, I'm not a nerd. Been watching all the videos on people like playing the demos and going through stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's like there's 2 parts. There's Alan Wake, where it's just straight up like survival horror, as in like Evil Within, old school Resident Evil, that kind of stuff. And then you play a Saga, and it's like true detective. Like, you know, I'm a normal person and this world is weird and there's cultists and what's going on. And then you play these 2 different sides of the game. You can switch at any time you want. Like, there's not, maybe there's a way specifically that you're supposed to do it. They're like, no, you can play all of Alan Wake's part and then play all of Saga's part. And I guess playing Saga catches you up on what's happening in the story in case you haven't played in a while. But it looks amazing. It looks like a current gen game. And I'm like, oh man. Just turning Alan Wake into Resident Evil is like a big win. Like, I feel like that's going to work. Because, like, Chad is a hater and doesn't have good taste, but he didn't like the first game.
He's gotta.
He's like,
They just
I'm
gotta
down
care.
for the second one.
They gotta care 1% about the writing. It was.
They do.
Terribly
He's a
written,
writer.
terribly acted, voice acted.
Wrong. Incorrect.
Awful.
But no, this game looks amazing. This is like, we have 10 times more budget to do this weird thing that we want to do. And it looks cool. All right. And then I'll go on to my things. Mortal Kombat 1 had a lot of gameplay. There's a lot of stuff come out about that. You know, not to get too much into it, but basically they've reset the timeline, so all the characters are like similar but completely different. Like Raiden's not a god anymore. He's just a dude who's got electrical powers. Liu Kang is god now. And they're just talking about all the gameplay stuff, and it's like this game is a complete reboot of like what Mortal Kombat is, like story wise and mechanic wise.
Yeah.
Like it's got the cameo stuff, so you have like assist fighters. You can do like apparently it's like this game. They're like this game is like we're gonna everyone's loving Street Fighter, and they're like Mortal Kombat is also like the new version of Mortal Kombat that like Street Fighter 6 was the new version of Street Fighter. And every review and preview I read about it is like, no, it's fucking awesome. Like, it's going to be amazing. So, dude, I'm in for that. I love it. Again, I'll play the story mode and have a good time because they always kill it there.
This was one that so here's what I did to watch this game conference in the middle of a freaking work day, Jeff Keighley. I put it on at work in a conference room. And when it showed Mortal Kombat 1 stuff, I'm like, I'm going to take that and put it on my computer and watch this because that's definitely going to be inappropriate. All these murders and gruesome deaths and finishers. And then the rest of it, I was like, oh, let me put that back up on the screen now. What is Banishers? Why did I not remember Banishers?
Banishers. So Banishers is, by the way, Keaton brought it up in the chat, and I will speak to it about how that Control and Alan Wake are connected. There's very specific things. And as we remember, because we played Quantum Break as a Barf game, like the Remedy verse is all connected. So I think it's really cool that we're getting all that stuff together. It's really neat.
Yeah.
No, Banishers. No, go ahead, Alex.
I was just reiterating what you're saying. Like, yeah, there's a lot of crossover content, particularly in the second of the two Control DLCs, where they get like really in the weeds of going over Alan Wake related events. And yeah, that's definitely a huge reason why I'm excited for it.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so Banishers is a game by Don't Nod, who are the folks who made the first Life is Strange games.
This is a Don't Nod game. This looks so good.
Yeah, they also made Vampire.
This is different from the game that they showed off in the Xbox showcase, correct?
Yeah.
I tweeted about this during the Xbox showcase, but it feels like Don't Nod is working on like 50 different games right now.
And all action games. Which is weird.
And they all look like simultaneously pretty good, but they also all look like if you took PlayStation 2 era games and were like, what if you made it today?
Made it look prettier, yeah. But Banishers was the one, I think we saw it at Game Awards, where it's like the guy with like the hunter guy, and he has like his ghost girlfriend with him, and you're just like going through the world and like solving ghost crimes or whatever, fighting ghosts. And yeah, I think it was really cool. When the first one at I'm pretty sure it was the Game Awards, I was like, that looks all right, that could be interesting. Don't Nod, again, they make Life is Strange. I don't know what they're going to do with an action game. But this trailer they showed at Summer Game Fest, I was like, I don't know, this Banisher games look pretty cool. So I don't know what it'll turn out to be, but the idea of being a dude and his ghost girlfriend, like hunting down and killing demons and ghosts and stuff sounds pretty cool to me.
They also revealed that game that no one's ever been able to say correctly. Jusant, whatever that game is from the Xbox One. That's a Don't Nod game as well.
Also Don't Nod. Don't Nod is just...
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them. But then my last one is just, I'm going to shout out as much as I want to. Nobody can stop me. Baldur's Gate 3 had a little trailer where they showed Jason Isaacs, a.k.a. Lucius Malfoy, was going to be in the game as one of the big bad guys. And I just want to remind everybody, this voice cast is amazing. Again, Lucius Malfoy, J.K. Simmons, what's his name? Matt Mercer from Critical Role. Just like all the great voice talent.
My sister once met the... actor that portrayed Lucius Malfoy at, I want to say, Comic-Con or something.
Yeah. What's funny thing about him, in that second movie, he threatens to kill a child on Hogwarts grounds. Just like a big heads up. Like Dobby saves him, but he's like, he was going to like do the curse to kill Harry Potter, a 9-year-old child on school grounds.
Yeah.
Just putting that out.
When you have that much money and power, you can get away with anything. Just look how much we had to dig up on Trump to get him arrested. Well, he's not even arrested yet, but...
What was interesting about that moment is in the movie, you can tell that he's about to say Avada Kedavra, which is a spell that you only learn about in the 4th Harry Potter book. But I want to say that in the book, it doesn't describe what spell he's about to intone. So that was like a bit of like fun foreshadowing that only people in the movies got. But yeah, pretty fucked up moment.
You don't actually say the spell, you just, like that's what Voldemort does. He stops saying spells at some... But no, Baldur's Gate 3 looks great. They're talking about how they built the city of Baldur's Gate, which seems to be like the end point of the game. There's just cool stuff about it. It looks great. It's going to be awesome. Coming out this August. And that's it for Summer Game Fest for me, unless anyone remembered anything else. We'll move on to playtime, though, if you didn't. Playtime, playing.
We basically covered everything in summer. I know you said, hey, I don't think it's possible for us to cover everything. Pick your favorites, and we covered everything.
To be fair, Chad, it's all because of you. It's because you're like, oh man,
you.
I want this and I want this. You're like the guy that went to a buffet and it's like, you're supposed to get the priciest stuff, but you're like, oh man, I'll get Jello cubes and I'll get bread and I'll get crab rangoon.
Jello cube. Oh yeah, that was like next to the salads and stuff. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to playtime though. Chad.
Almost nothing new. Beat Saber, I'm playing more of that, just getting some cardio. I'm like halfway through the campaign now because you got to replay the campaign. It's super boring. It's like play this song on easy and don't get 10 strikes and all that kind of shit. But I discovered the Fallout Boy music pack, which apparently has been out for a while, but their set. They're like playing a live show, and there's like fans, and there's like flame effects and fire shooting at the stage and all this kind of stuff. Like this game just looks so good, especially now on next gen. So I'm very happy, very excited with that. More Destiny 2. Finally, fucking got an exotic bow from the fucking dungeon. Oh, there's this cool new thing on the new dungeon, Ghost of the Deep. There's this cool new thing that we found out you can do where you don't even have to fight the final boss. You can, like, before you even start the encounter, you can just, like, you shoot a grenade at her from this Witherhoard grenade launcher, and then you kill yourself. And as soon as you kill yourself, it actually starts doing damage to it over time. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over. And then after 20 minutes, the boss is dead and you didn't have to do anything.
After 20 minutes?
20.
Well, I mean, the boss quicker than that.
If you figure in the fact that, especially if you do this on, like, master difficulty, which is, like, going to be really tough. If you figure in all the times that you probably are going to attempt it and wipe and die and all this kind of shit, and you're not going to be good at it, et cetera, like 20 minutes is looking real attractive.
I love when Destiny players are like, how do we break this game?
Yeah. Well, Destiny breaks its own game in our favor so often, and then we try to things, and then they fucking patch it. And then anything that we want is broken, and they take forever to fix it anyway. So it's like, this is us just getting back a little bit of what's ours.
Take back the night.
But then I was playing some Diablo 4 with Jerica and Audrey as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No invites.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should have also been on the text thread that was just between the three of us and not you.
Interesting. So how do I get in that text thread?
Sorry, it's iMessage only. It's
That's
iPhones
not true.
only.
You could literally add anybody to the message. I know you can.
But we were playing Diablo 4. We finally beat Act 1. I'm loving my werebear. That thing is a tank. And I'm
so
1
you
point
are
away.
playing as a druid.
Yes, I'm a druid.
Okay.
I'm one skill point away from unlocking basically the thing that says, like, you get 20% more health when you're a werebear and you do 30% more damage. And it's just like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm having a ton of fun with it.
I have been playing through Diablo 4's campaign as a barbarian, and I gotta say, I've been playing on World Tier 2, so I am making things a little bit more difficult for myself than they need to be. Most of the main campaign missions, not that bad. There's some bosses here and there that gave me a little bit of grief, but not too much. I find it incredibly difficult to complete any of the dungeons when playing solo, particularly once I get to the final bosses of them.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know what it's been like for you. Maybe I'm just not optimizing my character's build very well, but I find the dungeons like incredibly tough on my own.
I had to do there were 2 dungeons. One of them I just abandoned entirely when I got to the boss. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to do it. The other one I abandoned and then came back to like 2 days later after I had leveled up, and I got these wolves to help distract the boss too, and it was like, cool. And it was so much easier to the point where like I don't think I used a single healing potion the entire fight. So I think it might just be because it's not necessarily you need to level up because the game scales with you, but just getting more equipment and more skills. Not like get good build. Skills, but yeah, unlocking new stuff that like gave me better defense and that kind of shit.
Yeah,
but I'm right there with you. Where most of the game I'm playing World Tier 2 and it's fine, and then I get to those bosses at the end of the dungeons and just like, oh my god, really?
Yeah, because I'm in Act 2, I think nearing the end of Act 2 or something like that, and I haven't had again, I only played co-op with Chad once, and then he cut me out of the text chain, so I didn't know what he was playing.
You went to bed.
Yeah, that was one time.
And that was you giving up on the game forever in my eyes.
Yeah, that was it. I haven't had too much trouble. I also do feel like I have an optimized build, so like I'm the necromancer, and it's like my piece of equipment. It's like you literally have more summons than you're supposed to. Like it adds more people, and I have my I have my ultimate like level 25 ability.
Oh, those
unlocked,
golems look so freaking cool.
They're so broken. I just think
God.
the necromancer's broken, and I'm loving it. I just sit back, and then 17 guys do the work for me, and the golem literally can't die. Like he literally cannot die. So I'm loving Diablo. I'll keep on going. I just want to get the mount. I know that's like Act 3 or something like that. I'm just trying to get to that point because I want to ride my little horse around. But I'm also loving it.
I didn't mention this earlier, but I'm kind of at the beginning-ish of Act 3. I don't know like how far in I am exactly, but that's around where I'm at. And I gotta say, I am really enjoying the quality of the story and writing in this game. Maybe I was just feeling a little bit burned coming off of Tears of the Kingdom and how the story in that game wasn't really doing it for me, but like the quality of the writing here is like surprisingly top-notch.
Yeah.
IMO.
And those Blizzard cutscenes. Ugh, those Blizzard cutscenes are so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What level are you, Alex? Do you know? Like approximately?
I'm like 36, I think.
That's about where I'm a few levels under that.
All right, very cool. And I think, I already talked about Lies of P, and then we've all talked about Diablo 4. So is that everything?
That's all. That's
I
everything
think so,
that anyone has ever played.
Yeah, it's the only game that matters.
Oh, yeah. I have also been playing a little bit of what's the game night game? Not the game night game. The game,
Axiom Verge?
the barf game, Axiom Verge. Yeah, I've been playing the first one over on my Vita. The first Vita game I've been playing in some time. And so far, I think it's very redacted. Very, very redacted.
Interesting. All right. Well, next, we'll move on to Xbox. Again, when we're recording this, it just ended a couple hours ago. We've had time to read it over. Again, of course, Chad has the biggest list out of everybody.
You told me to put things in there, and I was taking notes as we went, and so I just copied and pasted. And then you were like, all right.
I'm not upset at you. I'm giving you a hard time. But I guess, Chad, do you want to go first since you have all the big ones and the most biggest list?
I will say, of almost everything on my list, there were no gameplay trailers for almost everything. It was all just like, here's a moody CG trailer or something just to introduce how you're going to feel playing this game. And so like I was a little let down that there was so little actual gameplay that we saw in the whole conference. But it's like starting off the bat with Fable and seeing, big giant person and then little person running around and chasing them. And then we see the next thing south of midnight and it's big giant person and there's a little person right next to them in the swamp. And it's just like, oh man, giants are a thing this year. I see. Okay. I'm excited for Fable just because of its pedigree and that trailer. It has a kooky personality. It's got great writing. It looks like it's going to be fun, but again, we saw nothing from it, and I think it's going to be so far from release. South of Midnight, Compulsion Games South of Midnight too.
Sorry, real quick on Fable. Yeah. I will say, shocked that this game opened the showcase. I had thought, even though Fable is being developed by Playground Games, which is a very reputable studio, has worked on a ton of great stuff, I thought this game might potentially be on the verge of becoming vaporware. So it was surprising to see it here in full force. I will say that was a fun trailer. I really like the whole tiny person fighting a giant stuff. One of my favorite moments from God of War Ragnarok last year was the fight with Angerboda's grandmother, where you're in that giant kitchen. Mm-hmm. Is this what people want out of a Fable 4, tonally and character-wise? Because watching it, I'm like, I don't have any touchstones for what Fable should be, and I don't know if this is oh man, this is what a modern-day version of Fable should look like, or if this is kind of a different beast from what I remember the series being through trailers and osmosis back in the day.
No, Fable's always it's goofy high fantasy.
Yeah.
So this was basically exactly what Fable 1 was specifically. Fable 1 and 2 was very much this exact tone.
Okay.
Yep. And then Xbox sucks. I have to say it because Dallas asked me to say it, and he's a patron over at patreon.com/respawningfire, and I'm a corporate shill, and I will do anything for money. So,
Hey, Chad, I'm also on the Patreon. Can you say Xbox rules?
if you put it in the chat, I'll say it. I'm Ron Burgundy.
For the future, you should ask Dallas to like subscribe to you in exchange for saying Xbox sucks. By the way, you shouldn't just give that out for free.
Oh well, he does. He does. I
Is
think.
he?
I don't know. Is he a Twitch? Dallas. The next time I say it, you have to subscribe on Twitch if you're not already subscribed on Twitch.
Please do.
Alex, I'm sorry, Adam. I'm seeing what you wrote here in the chat, and I'm just like, it doesn't agree with the core values of my human nature.
Patreon
so, like,
redacted. taking that money away. Gone
South
forever.
of Midnight. This opened up, and I was confused because it's the exact same opening as Wizard with a Gun from Devolver that came out the day before. And it's just some big demon thing playing a guitar in the swamp of Louisiana. And that's exactly how Wizard with a Gun opened. But then it turned out to be a very different CG trailer again that looks like I'm really down with this art style. I'm really down with the stop motion, like animation, like style of it. Again, we don't know anything about gameplay or fucking anything about the game at all. But cool mood piece.
Yeah, there was. I have a little bit of information that came out afterwards that it was. Of course, it's American South. You know, obviously we're in the bayou, that kind of stuff. It's going to be a third-person action game where you Hazel is the name of the character, tracks down supernatural creatures and attempt to kill them and whatever. I'm with you. Is like it didn't show a lot, but man, this art style again. It's Spider-Verse. It's TMNT. Fucking love this art style. If the game actually looks like that, again, it's just a trailer. Who knows? But I fucking love that art style. It's just like put it on anything. Literally anything looks better with that art style. So I'm down for that.
Yeah.
This game didn't speak to me, but I do want to tip my hat to it because Compulsion Games is a Montreal-based studio.
Ooh.
In fact, when I was in college, I forget who it was, but someone from Compulsion Games actually came into one of our classes and talked about We Happy Few, which was the game they were working on at the time. So that's pretty cool.
And then
I do have to point out, Respawn Name Fire sucks. You know, said it in the chat. Dallas said it in the chat, so I have to say it now. I'm sorry. I'm a corporate show.
Again, he should be just giving out. If he's already subscribed, he should be gifting subs to other people in exchange for all this slander.
The third thing is he has to create a bunch of fake Google accounts and sub to us on YouTube as well.
That too. That too.
The third game at this Xbox thing, Star Wars Outlaws, which I think was like one of the biggest announcements. That, again, another fucking CG trailer, but we know that it's a Ubisoft game. It looks like there's going to be some third-person action adventure, probably. Going to be some smuggling, going to be some shooting, some pew-pewing with some lasers and tasers. It's going to be a lot of fun, I can tell. Again, we know nothing else about it. Other than we'll probably see more at Ubisoft tomorrow.
Yeah, we get a full gameplay walkthrough at Ubisoft Forward. So they will have gameplay tomorrow.
Perfect.
It looked good. I feel like the bar has been really raised on how good like a modern Star Wars game can be thanks to the Jedi Survivor games. So I feel like this game we'll see in a very short amount of time just how good this game is, but there are definitely some big shoes for it to fill if it's gonna kind of live up to what we've already got.
Yeah, I'm interested because Massive made the Division, which are very good games, but obviously I don't think this is going to be a Division style game. But they've made good stuff before, so let me see. You're cool, and the fact that they put a commander droid as the ally, like I love when they do that. They're like,
that was the like K2SO one, right?
Well, no, it's the one that was in the ship with them. It's a battle droid from like the prequel era.
Gotcha.
But just repurposed it. I love when they're like, hey, remember this old droid? He's a good guy now. I love when they do that, so that's fun.
Another Chad-ass game, Still Wakes the Deep. We got like a 10-second trailer for this one. It's just, again, atmospheric, spooky-looking stuff, but it's made by the Chinese Room, which made Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, which is one of my absolute favorite games, walking simulators, fantastic, love it a lot. So I'm in for anything that they do. Great music, always coming from them as well. And then Avowed. We got to look at Obsidian's Avowed again. This is still coming in 2024. I don't think that we got any other more concrete information than that. But I am more intrigued in Avowed than I was the first time that we saw it. It does. Dallas texted us earlier. He's like, this looks like Skyrim, and I was like, that is a bad thing in my mind that it looks like Skyrim, because that's like jank and gross and boring. But this actually looks colorful and magical and good. So I'm keeping my eye on Avowed. I am more intrigued on it now than I ever have been.
Yeah,
The thing about
Oh, go ahead, Alex. You go.
I just want to say real quick, the thing about Avowed is this game was announced before Microsoft acquired Bethesda. And so at the time it was like, okay, well, Microsoft's making its own Elder Scrolls style RPG in lieu of owning Elder Scrolls. And then they came to own Elder Scrolls. And I think it was kind of assumed by some people like, well, maybe they might just shutter Avowed because now there's no reason for them to have that if they have Elder Scrolls. And it seems like someone came to the realization that, like, y'all, the next Elder Scrolls game is quite a few years away.
Yeah.
Maybe we can still slot Avowed in there and it won't create that much of a big difference.
We also got maybe the least interesting trailer for Hellblade 2 that we've seen so far. We've seen a lot of Hellblade 2
This
content.
trailer was just not very good. I'm going to say it right here, right now. Not good.
No, it was visually, I think, less impressive than any of the other Hellblade 2 content we've seen. Action-wise, like, nothing happened. We just heard a bunch of voices while she looked around the cave, confused, and then she knelt down in the water, and the physics effects on the waters and the rippling looked super fake and weird. And it was like that for a game that, again, this is again still, I think 2024 is what they said, and it's just like, you've been working on it for so long, and you use it as like a showcase piece for what the Xbox Series X will be able to do, and now it's just like, this is what you show. They just need to release this game and it needs to be perfect. That's it. That's all it needs to be, because the first game was so
Just be
incredible.
perfect.
What I did appreciate, though, is like you could tell part of what made the first game so incredible is you play it with headphones and it's got that like binaural audio or whatever they call it, and you just hear shit all in your brain because of the psychosis. And I could definitely tell with my speakers on my TV, like they were doing that as well. I was like, oh man, okay, I get it. And my last thing here, we should probably save this to talk about last, if y'all want to talk about your other stuff first, because Starfield. Sorry, I went out of order, but Starfield was the last thing on my list.
Yeah, I was like, which one do we skip over? Yeah, I guess we do Starfield last. Alex, what's up with your stuff? You took mine as well, by the way.
Yeah, surprise, not surprise. The three games that I wanted to talk about are the Persona team games. So, of course, we got Persona 3 Reload, which is the Persona 3 remake game that got leaked well ahead of time by a social media manager that did not know what they were pressing on their keyboard. Looks really good. I'll definitely give it a shot. I will say I am a little bit disappointed that Persona 3 Reload is going to lack a lot of the content that was in Persona 3 FES, as well as some of the new stuff that was introduced in the PSP version, like the female protagonist option. On the same breath, they have said that there's going to be like a lot of new content in the game as well. So I am looking forward to that. I don't expect something on the same vein as Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's going to like go in a completely radically different direction than any of us expect. But yeah, it's still looking good. Looking forward to it. We also got Persona 5 Tactica, which also leaked due to the same social media manager's unfortunate error. Also looking pretty good. What's surprising about this particular spinoff, which is a like Final Fantasy Tactics inspired Persona 5 spinoff title, is the fact that it seems like it's going to be Xbox exclusive, at least for the foreseeable future. There have been many instances in the past of games that release exclusively on Xbox and then gradually make their way to, other consoles and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to be exclusive forever. It is just a little bit surprising considering that for so long I've associated the Persona series as a, PlayStation-centric series, or at least a Nintendo-centric series secondarily, considering we've had stuff like the Persona Q games on the 3DS, for example. But definitely going to try it out all the same. And finally, we also got Metaphor. Uh-oh. What's up?
No, Persona 5 looks really cool. or Persona 5 Tactica or whatever.
Tactica,
I love
yeah.
tactics strategy games. Persona 5 is the best Persona. It's a weird chibi art style. Kind of reminded me of what was it? The 3DS ones, Q
Yeah,
or whatever.
Persona Q
Labyrinth?
and Persona Q2.
Which is an interesting take, but taking the best like group of characters and the best aesthetic and making a tactics game is a big plus for Adam. So I am down for that. I don't even think that it's going to be exclusive on day one. I just think they're just not talking about it yet. Like I would not be shocked if this came to PlayStation, everything else on the same day.
The one thing that's a little bit disappointing about a lot of the Persona spin-off games is a lot of them are like, oh, this takes place in a pocket dimension that's devoid of time and space. Anything can happen here for however long period of time it takes, and it doesn't have any bearing on the wider Persona story, and that's always a little bit disappointing. There are a couple of the Persona spin-off games out there, like the Persona 4 Arena games, which are actually sequels to the mainline games and actually kind of follow up on where characters are at after the events of their mainline games. And I wish that more of the Persona spin-off games sort of followed in their wake, but I understand that the team's like, we don't want to convolute the timeline too much. And the final game that the Persona team showed off is a game that we've been waiting a very long time for that I feel like most people have forgotten about. Metaphor ReFantasio, which 6 years ago was originally announced as Project ReFantasy. At the time, I want to say this was like shortly after the release of the vanilla version of Persona 5. The team came out and was like, hey, our next game is going to be a non-Persona, like fantasy-based JRPG. And I think the implicit understanding at the time was this game will come out before we eventually get not Final Fantasy 6, Persona 6. And it seems like that is still on track to be the case. Again, it had been quite some time since we had heard of this game. I think a lot of people assumed this might be vaporware at this point, but nevertheless, it's here and it looks quite good. It will be interesting to see like what the Persona team's take is on so many of these sort of classical fantasy elements we've seen time and time again in your Final Fantasy games, in your Dragon Quest games. I think one of the kind of major like points of appeal of the Persona series is that so much of the fantasy stuff in those games like happens on the kind of opposite coin side of like all this like very real, very kind of grounded kind of like human emotional drama in very real cities in Japan. And it'll be interesting to see if they kind of like find a way to incorporate a lot of that very real kind of grounding into this largely fantastical experience. I get the sense that this game, this trailer didn't do much for either of you. I'm sorry that it has such a bad name, by the way. Like,
it is
no
terrible
due
name.
respect, but like it is a really bad name. If they just called it ReFantasy, that would have been fine.
It's a name, isn't it?
I'll be honest,
Yeah,
like,
it is a
none of the Persona stuff. It just doesn't catch my attention at all. And this looked very Persona to me, so I was like, okay.
Makes sense. Yeah, I was only interested in Tactica just because I like tactics games, but like even like the 3 remake didn't mean anything to me because I don't care about 3 specifically. But I mean, it's a thing if it's like if those all come to Game Pass, maybe I'll try it. That's what got me to play the re-releases. So we will see. All right, I'll go next just really quickly. Clockwork Revolution in Exile's next game. It's a really good studio. I like them a lot. It basically looks like steampunk BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, it looks like they took BioShock Infinite and like Dishonored.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
just put them together.
Yeah, let's squish them together and make their hands the normal size.
You and these hands. I think
What has In Exile done before?
They did
the original
Wasteland
Fallouts
games.
They did Wasteland. So they made a lot of like top-down RPG kind of a thing.
Okay.
It's so funny because they made the original 2 Fallouts, and then
The
IP
people
went to
worth
Bethesda,
pointing
and now
out,
they all
the
work
people
for
that
Microsoft.
made the original Fallout games founded In Exile. The original Fallout games, like the studio that made them was
Black
Isle Studio.
Black Isle,
which
that's what it was. Yeah.
went defunct many, many years ago. But it's a lot of those same people that basically
It's just
carried
funny to
over
see
to
that
this.
come like we don't have Fallout anymore. We got bought by Microsoft. Oh, Fallout got bought by Microsoft. We're all working together. Yeah, that's fun. And then the next thing was Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty DLC, which looked cool. I really like that game. The things that came out afterward, I think, was the most interesting thing. Let's go again. Idris Elba in a video game. Cool. Let's have fun with that.
He wasn't on stage, though, which honestly was a big missed opportunity.
Can't have Keanu and Idris in the same room because the world will explode.
Well, then just don't have Keanu there. Only have Idris Elba.
He had his moment.
I was going to say, and I feel like, no disrespect towards Keanu, but like the guy definitely operates on a much higher level when he has like an actual crowd to react with. Having to read like mostly off of a teleprompter the way he did in the press conference, it just was not very good, IMO.
Just disrespecting America's favorite son.
I'm not. I'm just saying he wasn't used to his fullest potential. That's all.
He's perfect at all times, no matter what he does. I'm just messing with you. The thing that's most interesting about this game, I think the DLC was cool. It was awesome. Basically, what I've been reading afterwards is that they completely redid or updated everything in the video game for the DLC. Like the entire way that the game works, all the skill systems, the fucking literally, it's a brand new game once the DLC comes out, which they did with Witcher 3. When the first DLC came out, they completely changed the combat and the UI. And then the same thing here. They're like, everything's different now whenever this DLC comes out. So it's like you get a whole new area, a whole new story. And the main game is also going to be updated too. So I thought that was all really cool. And again, I'm excited for this because Cyberpunk is really cool. So there you go. That is it for Xbox. And
no, we got to talk about.
Oh, that's right. We got to talk about Starfield.
We got to talk about the best trailer almost in the entire. Like I saw that Starfield trailer, the one they played in the middle of the conference, and I said, "Is this going to be my game in the show? Like, am I going to play this game and love it?" And then they did the 45-minute press conference afterwards showing all the reasons why I'm not going to love this game. But man, that trailer was incredible. And the music is so good. And then, so the developer diary at the end, it was just like, they showed a lot of really cool things. They showed like the way that the planets are procedurally generated, but also how they're like crafted at the same time, how you can build out your ships for all these different things, how you can happen to run into people.
But Chad, there are space cowboys. There are literal space cowboys in this video game.
I know. But then what they confirmed for me while I was watching is like, there's no reason to do any of it, and you're just exploring for exploring's sake, and that is hella boring to me. So I'll let y'all talk about the rest of this, and I'll keep quiet.
Here's the thing: I knew Chad was gonna like it no matter what, because Chad's a hater, and it's fine. No, it's literally Chad's like, I don't like open world games. Like, oh, this is the most open world video game. So it's not gonna be your thing. But also, dude, I watched that 45 minutes. It's like, fuck, this looks good. The combat looks completely redone from the last time we saw. Last time we saw was like, it looks fine, whatever.
Combat was impressive.
Well, it actually looks good now. I think I don't know if this is substantiated, but I think it's like id Came in like a year ago. Like the people who made Doom and those games were like, let's help you figure out your first-person shooter stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I heard. But no, it looks great. This is an Adam Ass video game. It's like skills and fucking... It looks like Outer Worlds, all the cool RPG stuff from Outer Worlds, and then the exploration stuff from No Man's Sky mixed with a classic Fallout Skyrim, and then they just gave it a bunch of budget. I'm like, why do you just name Adam's perfect video game? That sounds great. I'm very excited. And the trailer was cool, but then the 45 minutes was like, oh, yes, I am going to enjoy this very much.
Yeah, this is one of those games that I know, Dallas is big into. He's in the chat right now talking about me being a hater. He's really into those, like, getting lost in an Assassin's Creed Valhalla and spending 200 hours in it, and also like never even coming close to the end of the game. And Matt is like obsessed with Fallout 4, and you love open world shit. And it's just like, I know that everyone's gonna love this game, and y'all are gonna get lost in it. And I'm gonna have to figure out what I do for the entire month of September while y'all play it.
This trailer looked good. This trailer looked good, but I will only play this game if the two of you come on the podcast and are absolutely ranting and raving about how great it is. I had a lot of fun back in the day with Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I'm not super compelled by this, but that's just me.
What my plan is to kick you two off, and me and Dallas can just talk about Starfield for like 2 weeks straight. Me and Dallas, let's do a Starfield podcast. It'll be great. Now, I mean, again, the game is, if you are that kind of person, I think you're going to love it. Like, if you're that person, or if you're not that person. So again, I'm going to love it and play it. Dallas going to love it. We're going to play it. Again, it looks like a Bethesda, like making a space game like the best way possible. So, very excited. Very cool. And that is it now, I believe, for everything we thought was interesting at Xbox. I do want to make a joke about the name of that video game that you said no one will remember. Let's have that be a bit on the podcast. Was it
I just said it like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. It's a climbing game. It actually did look pretty, but I don't know if I'm going to remember the name.
Yep.
So we'll go on
and
to
no
any
one's
of
going
the...
to pronounce it correctly for sure.
No, never. Yes, thank you, Dallas Meany. We'll do that. So we're going to move on to everything else. So this includes Devolver, Wholesome, Future Games, PC, yada, yada, yada. I have the most on this list because I actually care about video games and I'm not a poser like Chad.
Okay, you already had 2 on there, and I was like, those are the only 2 that I cared about. So eat my butt.
But Cozy, do you want me to go first or you want to do yours first?
You go first.
This one actually specifically is for you, by the way, the one I'm highlighting.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
You go first.
Okay, so first up, I don't remember all the names of these. I didn't write them down. I'm sorry. Well, we'll start with this one. Devolver Digital. Again, I'm a Devolver Digital fan. I feel like their actual show wasn't the best. I like Volvi, of course. Like, that was very fun.
The whole Volvi thing was just like absurd in such a weird, good Devolver way.
Yeah, but I feel like they showed their best games. They were like, Plucky Squire was like, looks amazing. But they already showed that one. Wizard with a Gun was the one for me. I was like, oh no, again, we've known about this. Basically, it looks like if Cult of the Lamb was a twin stick shooter and you got a like base built.
Bastion. Cult of the Lamb and Bastion. Strong Bastion vibes from this.
Yes.
It looks fucking dope.
That looks amazing. Like Devolver and Volvi, big time fans. So I'm very excited for Wizard with a Gun. I believe that's later this year. I didn't pull up a article about it.
I'll look it up.
I think it's fall. Very excited for that one. Next for me was Lords of the Fallen, which is like the reboot sequel to Lords of the Fallen is what it used to be called. Which is
2023, by the way.
Just 2023. Okay. Yeah. Which is a Souls-like game. But it looks like really cool, high budget. And what they showed in the trailer that I watched was like, okay, like you're obviously in this world, whatever. It's a Souls game, cool boss fights, all that cool stuff. But then there you have a lamp, which allows you to go into like the dark world. I guess, think of Link or Legend of Zelda did similar, but like you can hold the lamp, or if you die, you go to like the Phantom Zone, which is like the exact same world, but different on the other side. So you can like, in this world, there's nothing there, but in the Phantom world, there's like a bridge of dead bodies you can go across. And it just looked really, really cool. Again, I'm down for Soul stuff now that I'm the Elden Lord, so I'll have to check more of that stuff out. Remnant 2 also had a trailer, which was the first one surprisingly very cool. It's like a co-op action adventure game, up to 3 people.
It also is kind of Souls-like too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I played a little bit of that. I can't remember. I think I played it with Matt and Holden. And I feel like there was something that like maybe it was like a server, like we made progress as a group, but then if we tried to play solo, we didn't have that that progress didn't carry over. But like only it did for whoever was hosting it or whatever it was. And anyway, I enjoyed the gameplay of that game, but
yeah, it's a fun game. Again, I'm just paying attention to this because the first one was like, it's fun, especially if you get a group. So I'm interested for Remnant 2. And the last thing, which was shown at the PC Gaming Showcase, which is always a joke. They're like, they have a PC Gaming Showcase, but this is like, I believe it was a bumper like to start the show. Like it's not even like its own trailer.
I didn't even watch this one because I was out having sex with so many people because I'm not a loser.
Oh wow, that's what you did. This was only like an hour ago. We were here talking. But no, Citizen Sleeper 2, again, unceremoniously, like you could have put that in any of it. Well, I think they could have. Looks great. I'm very excited for it. I just love Citizen Sleeper, and then we got an announcement for a sequel only like a year afterwards.
I still need
that's
to.
That's on PlayStation, right?
I think it's already on. Well, the first one's on Play.
Yeah. It originally launched on Xbox and came to PlayStation, which I was about to say. I still need to replay that game on PlayStation because I want that platinum trophy.
Get that platy.
I'm kind of shocked that the sequel is coming out this soon after the release of the original game. I mean, it's not like the original game was like that, like intensive technologically of an experience. So I suppose it's probably not that difficult. I gotta
look up the date.
Reinventing the wheel.
If that's this year, that's insane. But I don't know if they have a date or if they just announced that they were doing it.
Citizen Sleeper is on PlayStation, and it's 6.5 hours. Why have I not beat this yet?
We told you multiple times during last year's game that you were playing.
I know. Eat my ass.
Stop telling me to do. It doesn't. I can't see anything about a release date. I'll keep looking, but I'm very excited for Citizen Sleeper 2.
It's because PC players don't care about release dates. They're just like, when can I get into the broken version of it and pay for it later?
Let's go on to your game.
So,
my game? I don't have a game.
No, he is referring to me.
Cozy.
So I went skimming through the various other showcases to see if there were any other games of interest I wanted to talk about. For the most part, no. I missed Citizen Sleeper, and I would have brought that up if I had seen it. However, at the Future Games show, there was a game that caught my eye by the name of Enchanted Portals. Have either of you heard of Enchanted Portals before?
I've seen the thumbnail for the trailer from the link that you put in the doc. That's it.
Yeah, I think I've seen it, but I didn't click on it. Yeah.
You don't have to watch a whole lot of it. Click in on the video and scrub to like the halfway mark and just watch some of the gameplay in
this a Cuphead
game. It is a blatant Cuphead knockoff, right down to like the way that the characters walk, the gameplay, the art style, the like themed bosses that have multiple phases where they like will just change as they gradually get more and more damage. And I just saw this and I was like, this is like, hats off to this developer for just being like, hey, people liked Cuphead. Cuphead takes a real long time to develop. Let's just make our own.
If you Google the Enchanted Portals and just click images, there is a picture not too far down that just says in big capital letters, this is not a Cuphead ripoff.
But honestly, like, more people need to do that. If someone made a cool idea and like no one really did it as well, like, just do the thing. Like, it's not like, obviously we know you're inspired by it. That's fine. If you make a good version, nobody cares. As long as it's good. So like, I'm down for that.
And I said it jokingly a moment ago, but like, real talk, it took so long for Studio MDHR. Is it MDHR? Did I get that right?
Sounds right.
That sounds right. MGM Studios.
MGM Studios. It took so long for MGM Studios to develop just the DLC for Cuphead, DLC Island. And so if another studio is like, hey, we know these games take a long time to develop, we're going to make one of our own to fill in the gap, like, good on you, man. Good on you. I just thought that it was really funny to come across this game and be like, wow, like they're not even trying to kind of hide what they're going for.
Dallas in the chat saying Starfield's locked to 30 frames per second on console. Yeah. 0 out of 10. Xbox sucks.
Yep, awful. You know, it is 4K though, 30, but
1440 on Xbox Series S, which also, we didn't talk about this, like, for some reason they're still making Xbox Series S's and they're just like, let's release another one that's more expensive but you get more storage. Like, they're losing so much money on that console.
Are they? I feel like they sell a lot of them.
No, I think it came out last year that they were losing like $100. Like, they're selling them at a loss. Yeah.
Well, fuck it. Keep putting them out there like flapjacks. But I think that's everything besides, that's basically all the showcase stuff. That's it. That's all of them. Look at us. We've made it. Big time. Chad, did you have a segment
from Adam, a segment from Adam, a segment from Adam.
All right, so basically, this is real simple, real easy. We're going to do it for the big two. We're going to do a compliment sandwich. Excuse me, the big three. We're going to have a thing that we liked, a thing that could be improved, not a I hate this sucks, Chad, and then another compliment at the end.
What?
For each of them. I'll go ahead and start. And again, this is for PlayStation, Summer Game Fest, and Xbox Showcase. PlayStation, Helldivers 2 is really cool. The part you can improve on, I want to know what's coming in the future, besides the game from Haven Studios, which was a CG trailer. And then at the end, everything looked really cool. That was my compliment sandwich for PlayStation Showcase. Helldivers 2, I want more about the future of PlayStation. Everything looked cool, though. I
love that the bread was like, one game looked cool, and also all the others looked cool.
They all look very cool to me. I'll say that. Chad, you got one for somebody?
Are we doing it for each one, or are we just like picking a
whatever? Just throw one out if you want to do one. We're making sandwiches over here. We're artists.
Let me think on it.
Or if Alex, you got one?
Yeah, I'll do one for the Xbox Showcase. I liked all the Persona team representation at that showcase. They could have just stopped at Persona 3, and most people like me would have been satisfied with just that. The fact that we got Tactica and that long lost fantasy game along the way is really good. I'm still waiting to hear a little bit more from what some of Bethesda's other studios are up to. It feels like outside of the Starfield team, we really have not heard a lot of what the other studios at that company have been up to as of recent. And I will say that I like that Compulsion Games is from Montreal. There we go.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, here's my Xbox sandwich. Oh, okay. Go for it.
Oh, no. You do your Xbox one. Go
All
for
right,
it.
my Xbox sandwich is, I appreciate so much that I don't know if it was every game or almost every game was like on Game Pass or launching on Game Pass. Like that still baffles me at how they're making money on that, and despite the value that it provides. I wish I knew more about what was coming out anytime soon and what it looked like to play, because there was a lot of stuff that was 2024 or no date at all, and it was just like, here's a CG trailer. And then at the end, it was like, thanks for showing me a cool Star Wars game, even though it's not even like an Xbox thing. It's just like, we want to preempt Ubisoft saying like that. I'm very into that. And now I'm super intrigued. I was not interested in Ubisoft Forward. I probably wasn't even going to watch any of it. But now I'm like, oh, they've got Star Wars stuff now? Then it looks good.
Yeah. Like, I definitely want to watch the Prince of Persia and the Star Wars trailers now, at least. Like, I'm interested. And Mirage. So I guess there's enough at Ubisoft. All right. So for me, for Summer Game Fest, number one, thank you for not having me like 4 hours long.
Right? Oh, my
Amazing,
God.
Jeff. Oh, my God. Let's keep doing that. I'll go ahead for the other piece of bread, because the bad one is very stupid and very specifically me. Honestly, like, thanks for putting on like an E3 replacement. Like, I would overall, if you think about all announcements and everything show, I think Summer Game Fest was the best out of those three, and it feels like the most like, this is what a gaming showcase that we would initially, or that we would equate with E3 would be, right? It's like big announcements, big surprises, talk to a developer for a little bit, cool. It feels like that. And the bad, it was just like, where the fuck is Flintlock? Like, why, Jeff Keighley, why are you hiding Flintlock from me? That game was supposed to come out in spring of this year. I haven't heard anything about it. Why are you playing with me, Jeff Keighley? Where's my Flintlock?
Speaking, I forgot we ran a poll after Summer Game Fest. We ran a poll. What is your temperature check on Summer Game Fest? And we had 17% say hype. 42% of people, almost the majority, said it's good. 33% said it's boring, and only 8% hated it.
Not too bad. I'd agree with that. It's definitely on the upper end for me. I thought it was like,
Yeah.
There was still, of course, corny stuff and bad stuff, but overall, it was like ending with Final Fantasy Rebirth. Like, that's the way you do a trailer. Nicolas Cage, fucking let's go.
I think that the Jeff Keighley Summer Game Fest showcase definitely benefited from coming after that pretty disappointing PlayStation 1. I think that if it had not followed such a disappointing showcase, we may not have been as complimentary of it, but that's just me.
If PlayStation was like, here's Ghost 2 and like all the things that we're expecting, and had a Spider-Man release date also, then it would have been like, well, PlayStation really kicked ass, so like, what are you going to do? But because they only showed Spider-Man, really.
If anyone's got some bread, I've got some like bad Nicolas Cage meat. Like, that gameplay from Nicolas Cage looked bad. All right, here's how it looks like to play in Dead by Daylight, and then it's just like this awful character model that looks nothing like Nick Cage, just running around looking scared a lot.
It does not look great, but it is fun that he's in there. I'll give him that. But no, I don't. I mean, I'm not a Dead by Daylight person, so I'm not going to speak on the video game. Didn't look great, but whatever. All right, that's my segment. We made some sandwiches.
This time for Game On Game Show, the Game On Our Gaming Show. We play a game called Game On, the gaming show on our game show. Game. This week, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt around a particular game that has commanded a lot of attention called Starfield. So we are playing a game, looking back on Bethesda Game Studios game, it's called, Are Bethesda Games Good? So that's the game this week. And this is a series of games that we've played before, where we just kind of guess what the Metacritic is of these games to see how it compares with the actual reception of these games.
I just want to say real quick that I always really enjoy this Game on Game Show segment. It is always so interesting to see how our opinions of these games, our personal kind of like views of how people perceive these games match up against reality.
Yeah,
It's
and I think
surprising.
you didn't you nail it last time? Or was that Alec? We played this with Alec with Resident Evil, didn't we?
Alec Bobko literally had a perfect
Yeah, he literally
score.
got it like exactly.
Yeah, which
Okay.
was insane. Apparently, also didn't realize Resident Evil is one of the most beloved gaming franchises
Yeah,
of all time.
right?
Like I knew people liked it, but I didn't know they thought it was the greatest of all time, which is what it was.
So to clear things up, there's Bethesda Softworks, which is the publisher that publishes a lot of game studio stuff. We are going to be talking about Bethesda Game Studios, which is the developer of your favorite franchises like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, etc. So I've got here 9 games. Metacritic for them goes back as far as Oblivion, so that's where we're starting. And we're only hitting the major releases. Like, we're not hitting every piece of DLC for Fallout. We're not hitting, like, those kind of things. We're hitting the major releases, or the major game releases, just no DLC included. So 9 games. I will read you the name of the game, the year it came out, and you try to guess what the Metacritic score. This is the aggregate score from critics. This is not the user score. And for a game that had multiple platforms, this is the highest rated platform is the score that I chose.
Okay.
So we will start, because Alex loves this so much, we're going to let him go first. Starting with Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Came out in 2006. Alex, what do you think that scored on Metacritic?
Unfortunately, I've never actually played this one. It's tough because I feel like it was only when Fallout 3 released that people really jumped on the Bethesda bandwagon and were like, oh man, these guys make some good open world games. Whether or not nowadays you think Fallout 3 is all that compared to some of their other titles. And I do feel like there was a little bit of hand-wringing over the fact that some people felt like 4 wasn't as good as the Elder Scrolls 3. All that being said, I'm gonna go with an 88.
88? All right. Adam, what is your guess?
I was going to actually say 88, so I'll say 87.
87. The actual Metacritic score is a 94. Oblivion got a 94.
I knew it was beloved. I didn't know how it would do on Metacritic, though. Interesting.
So right now, Alex is winning
Interesting.
with 6 points away. Adam, you're 7 points away. So you're still
I
close.
guess, that game released very soon after the launch of the Xbox 360. I can see how, for a lot of people, it was like, wow, I've never played an RPG this expansive before on a home console. I can see how that probably gave it a huge bump back in the day.
Yeah. All right, Adam, you're up. The next one is Fallout 3 in 2008.
93.
93. Alex, what do you think?
I'm going to go and give it a 94.
94. The correct answer. The Metacritic score for Fallout 3 is a 93. Congratulations, Adam.
Wow.
Got an A minus. You're catching up now, Adam, with
There
that
we go.
1 point difference now. Actually, you're both tied now.
We're tied. Yeah.
All right. Next game, 2011, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Alex, what do you think this one got? And again, this is the original release, none of the actual re-releases.
Skyrim's one of those games that over the years people have really come down harshly on for not being as deep as it is expansive. But back in the day, man, this was a hot commodity. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my finger down on a 96. I'm going for it.
96. Adam, what is your guess?
95. This was literally the biggest game in the world when it came out. Like, there was no doubt about that.
The actual score for Elder Scrolls Skyrim is the highest rated Bethesda Game Studios game with a 96.
Ooh,
There we go.
There we
Alex,
go.
congratulations. You
Right
hit
on the
that one
money.
right on the head. Yep. Which lets you know every other game will not be as high as that one. So that gives you a little bit of a guess there.
98 for the next one. No, I'm just kidding.
Adam, you're up with Fallout 4, 2015.
4. People were a little bit hard on this one, but I don't think they were that hard on it. I'm going to say, let's go 89.
89 for Adam. Alex, what is your guess?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Adam kind of nailed it. Like, yes, people were hard on this game, but I think in the moment when people first reviewed it, like people were just jazzed to have Fallout back. I'm going to go with a 91.
91. The actual score on Metacritic is an 88, below both of you.
Okay.
We're very good at this game this time.
Yeah, you're getting pretty good. Adam, you are still winning by 1 point.
All right, cool.
Alex, 2016, a lesser recognized game, but one that was still played a lot. Fallout Shelter, specifically the PC version. They did not do the iOS version.
I'm going to go with a 79.
79. Adam?
I played a little bit of this game on my Switch, by the way. I thought it was very okay.
They also did not do the Switch version. They only did the PC version.
Just the PC version. I remember this people liking this game, but then it's also like it's a mobile like idle game. So how high would it really go? I'm gonna say 83.
83. The actual score is a 63.
Really?
Ooh.
I am shocked that it is that low.
They did
Holy
not
hell.
like it.
Interesting. I remember everyone playing it though. Like all my friends were, like,
everyone
into
was playing it for a while. I was like, "Oh, what does your shelter look like? Tell me all about your rooms and shit."
I will say, I feel like they handled the announcement of this game really well. Years ago, we gave Blizzard so much crap for coming out and announcing that one Diablo game for iPhones. What was it? Diablo
Immortal. Yeah.
And then like having nothing to follow it up. I remember this game being, hey, we're here to announce Fallout Shelter, and now let's talk about Fallout 4.
Right.
Like nobody walked away from that conference being like, oh man, it sucks that they talked about the mobile game. But
Exactly.
I guess it
They
didn't
were like,
stop them from
Fallout 4 is coming in a
disliking it.
few months. Here's something you can play right now to hold you over. Yeah. All right. This is Adam again, right?
Yeah, I believe it's me.
Adam, Doom VFR.
Oh, they
Doom
did
VFR. This is the PC and PlayStation VR Doom game.
81.
80. Oh, sorry, and this was 2017 was the year on this one. 81. Alex?
I'm going to go with a solid... I'm going to go with 79 again.
79. The correct answer is 71. 71.
There you go.
People
I
did
was
not
about
love
to
that one
remark,
either.
I feel like I haven't heard of this game in quite some time. I wonder why.
All right. I do know that for future games that we do this. I was doing research on like best reviewed PSVR 1 game. Like I think it was do it for Fantasy Critic because I was gonna draft the Horizon game. And like the highest that they go is like 85.
Oh,
on,
really?
like, VR games. Yeah, like that's like the peak. So I'm like, if it's not like the best of the best VR games, people are just like, I have no fucking clue. It doesn't go above 85 is all I remember. Maybe Beat Saber, but that'd be it.
All right, Alex. Fallout 4 VR 2017. This was developed by them
There was
specifically
a
for PC.
VR mode for Fallout 4?
Just on PC.
Okay. I feel like we've been highballing a lot of these. I'm going to be adventurous. I'm going to say 73.
70 flat.
70 flat. People liked it more than you thought. 78 was the actual Metacritic score on that one.
Okay.
Right now, Alex, you are winning by 8 points.
Oh no.
Adam, let's make it up here. 2018, Bethesda Game Studios released Fallout 76.
Yeah.
What was the highest score across all platforms for Fallout 76?
That's the thing. At launch, these scores are going to be pretty low compared to, over time, a lot of people like stuff. So I'm going to say at launch, we're going to go crazy. 67.
67. Alex.
I'm going to go 65.
65. The actual score is 53.
Ooh, man.
53.
Hi-ya.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
Alex is still winning by 10 points now. We have one final game where you can earn your keep, Adam. Here we go. Alex, the final game, 2019, Elder Scrolls Blades, the iOS and Switch game. Which the highest of all platforms? What score was that, Alex?
Man, this game, talk about a game that came and went. I'm going to go with 64.
64. Adam, what is your guess?
55.
55. The final score of the entire game is won by 1 point.
Ooh.
So the winner has won by only 1 point.
Interesting.
The Metacritic of Elder Scrolls Blades is 42. That was the highest scoring of the two platforms. Adam, you have guessed a total of 74 points off. Alex, you were only 73 points off from the total.
Wow.
So, Alex, you've won the game. In general, if you take the average of all of the Bethesda Game Studios games that we've listed here, and you take the average at 75.3 repeating is the average Metacritic score. Alex, you guessed an average of 81. Adam, you guessed an average of 80. So it seems like we seem to think that they are better than they actually were received.
I mean, to be fair, like, we're talking about like some of the highest rated games we've ever done on this segment, side by side with like some of the lowest games we've ever done on this segment.
They started real high up in 2006 and 2011, and they just fell off.
Like, what is it? I don't know how hard the math is. What is it if you get rid of the bullshit? Like, get rid of the mobile, get rid of the VR games, and we just do, like, the
So we're getting rid
AAA
of-
releases.
Getting rid of VR, the PC, and Elder Scrolls Blades.
Yeah, get rid of Fallout Shelter, get rid of the VR games. Just do, like, Elder Scrolls 4, Elder Scrolls 5, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Like, what is that?
So then, there are 5 games left. It's 94, 93, 96, 88, 53, counting Fallout 76, with an
Well, let's get
average
rid of Fallout
score
76.
average score of 84 at that point. But you all both
Yeah.
have an 86-ish that you're guessing there as well.
What happens if you get rid of Fallout 76?
If you get rid of Fallout 76, then the average score becomes 92.75. But at that point, they haven't released a game in 8 years.
That's true. I don't want to. I hate being this person. I like when studios do their own thing, but specifically, when we're talking about Bethesda. Why don't you stick to the single player RPGs? Because obviously, that's your bread and butter. So, like, let's stick here, buds. Let's not do these mobile fucking VR bullshit.
It is still like I am still shooketh that Elder Scrolls Blades was that bad. Like I remember the whole deal
that was
with
the
that game.
Switch version. The
That was,
iOS version was like 20 something.
That was a very similar situation to Fallout Shelter, where it was like, hey, we're announcing this game, but we're closing out the show with the announcements of Starfield and the next Elder Scrolls so that people don't leave the show feeling dejected. But like a 40, what was it, 45?
42.
42. Like that is like abysmal.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at some of the reviews here. Yeah.
Oh, for the Blades or
for
whatever?
Blades on Nintendo Switch. Yeah. Ooh.
It's got to be pretty bad.
It is, okay, to be fair, it is heavily skewed by one of the 13 reviews is from a publication called Digitally Downloaded. They give it a 0.
No,
I don't
there
think
you go.
any game is a 0. But yeah, the rest of them were still not good. Like
I was going to say, I'm looking
Nintendo
at
Life
these
gave
reviews.
it a 30.
Yeah, 3 out
Yeah.
of 10. IGN
Yeah.
5.4. Not great.
Yeah.
Not great, not great. All right.
That's it for Game on Game Show. That is it for episode 311? 311 of Respawn Aim Fire. You have homework, as you always do. Even though it's the summer, kids are out, everyone's naked, you still got to do your homework. Patreon.com/respawn. You guys don't get naked for the summer?
I suppose we do now. That's the thing.
Not here in Canada.
Patreon.com/respawn aim fire. You can go there and vote on what barf games we play each month. Your vote is heavily weighted there compared to the Twitter poll. If you don't know what that is, that's a backlog accomplishment with Respawn and Friends game. A game that we all want to play that we haven't played or something like that. A retro game, classic, whatever it might be. This month, it is Axiom Verge. That old Metroidvania coming out on... it was all made by one guy, right?
Thomas Happ.
Thomas Happ made that game by
We,
himself.
who, by the way, we very briefly mentioned in the installment of Rafferty that we did, which you can go and watch right now if you subscribe
That's
to us over on
right.
patreon.com/respawnameFire.
That is right. There is an exclusive episode up for the month of June, Rafferty 2, Electric Boogaloo, on patreon.com/respawnameFire. There will be another exclusive game show for the month of July, and on July 1st, Rafferty 2 will come out to everyone on podcast services and YouTube. So go get early access there on Patreon and do all sorts of cool things, etc., etc. No doubt about. That's it. Alex, thank you so much for joining us again. Where can people find you in case they would like to follow your antics and your bicycling and your eating?
Well, you know that I have to eat and bicycle a whole lot. You can find
Well, I saw
me
you eating something at like a Japanese restaurant. There's a long line or something like that.
It was a Japanese like street food festival that was happening in Old Montreal, in like the old port area. You can find pictures of my excursions, like the one that I just mentioned, over on Twitter at Alex Kazina, AlexKazina.
Dope. Adam, where can we find the end of the series that you've been doing? And what is it called?
The end of it all. The end of all things, as they were. You can catch us, Isle of Misfit Rolls, on podcast services and YouTube. Twitch on Tuesday nights at Misfit Rolls. As we close out our campaign, season, and series finale. Coming very soon.
Dope. And you can find the end of me in a song called The End of the Innoces by Don Henley from the 1980s.
Is that a real thing?
It's actually the end of the innocence.
Oh,
In a
close
sense,
enough.
like the noun form of being innocent. But as kids,
you go
we all thought it was
to-
about Don Henley wanting to kill us.
If you go to Enosburg in Vermont, you can sometimes see me there during the weekends where I decide to go visit Vermont.
Dope. We'll all go there, and a big giant confluence of live streams will happen to go there in Vermont, and then the whole world will all become Jello and cubes. And that's our usual sign off.